Hello, bananga batulaba muli mutya. Good evening. How are you? How are you doing? How are you, banange aba UNN? Abali ku Facebook. Welcome to the Revolutionary Spa Show. Abali ku YouTube. Abali ku Twitter. Abali ku maybe Radio Affair will be coming soon because some technical issues. It's not been possible to air on radio. Na abali ku Twitter, abali ku Facebook, abali ku YouTube. Mwena, welcome to the Revolutionary Spa. And what do we mean by that? We mean revolutionary, self-purposeful action. It's all about our mindset. It's all about changing from within. It's all about building your self-confidence, your self-belief, your self-esteem. It's all about self. Okubera revolutionary. It's all about really the self. Then you can change the world. Our episode today, I want to really greet you all. First of all, njagala sending my regards, condolences to all those who have lost their lives or lost their loved ones. I beg your pardon. All those who have lost their loved ones. I pray particularly for my cousin who I recently lost this Wednesday. I pray for his parents. I pray for the whole family. May their souls rest in peace. I also pray for the sick and elderly, the vulnerable, especially the children. I pray for those who do not have material things. I pray for those who are living in other countries where they are not, where their rights have not been upheld. I pray for those who are falsely imprisoned because of fighting for equal opportunities for themselves and others. I pray for those unjustly treated and continue to suffer the injustices, especially my fellow Ugandans at home or diaspora. I pray for the prisoners who do not have justice, who are suffering mental and physical torture. I pray for those looking for the next meal. I pray for the homeless, for the refugees, for the migrants like me, who are not in their home countries, on their motherland. I pray for those with broken trust. And I give you a word of comfort and encouragement that it will be okay. It will be okay. The God we serve will come through. And secondly, I want to thank UNN, the UNN team, those who are seen and those who are not seen. I thank our viewers, the supporters of UNN, and any Ugandan who is for real change. And just before we get on, the views expressed here are my own. The opinions are my own and not of UNN team or TV as an organization. The videos or anything that you see which I refer to are for educative purposes only, and they're not, I suppose they're not the property of UNN, but those who have done something good that I can see it's helpful to us and we can share. So before we start, njagala genda kokwe a little bit of the pandemic update. First of all, pandemic update mu UK, twawulidde our lovely Prime Minister. Okay,
here's some news that you guys should actually know about, because we know the media won't
dare give up on yourself.
This is John Magufuli, former president.
Sorry about that. Nay, yes, topics for today is a changed you, a changed us, a changed Uganda. So ngenda kuba my perspective on UK mandate changes, ne how self-belief or limiting beliefs affect our progress in all areas. So ngate tunagenda maso about our main topic. Tugende ku this week's news, UK news. And let's hear from our Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, or UK, announcing the mandates to be lifted. And he said this was to be lifted from Thursday, which is yesterday. So, but Kambazanyo ka video kano will reach at about the 5-minute mark, or 3 minute, in fact, or 3 minute or 4 minute mark. And mbawe perspective yange, how I see things.
Leading of Omicron in our country. Mr. Speaker, with permission, I will make a statement on our progress against Omicron and the review of our Plan B measures. Within hours of learning from scientists in South Africa about the emergence of a new COVID variant last November, this government acted, introducing balanced and proportionate restrictions at our borders to slow the seeding of Omicron in our country. As we learned more about this highly transmissible new variant, we implemented the Plan B measures we had prepared precisely in case our situation deteriorated, encouraging people to change their behaviour to slow the spread of the virus and buying crucial time to get boosters into arms. We made the big call to refocus our National Health Service, necessarily requiring the difficult postponement of many other appointments so that we could double the speed of the booster programme. And thanks to the extraordinary efforts of our NHS and its volunteers, we delivered the fastest booster programme in Europe, reaching half our population before any other European country, with more than 36 million boosters now in arms across the UK, including more than 90% of all over 60s in England. And taking a balanced approach, we resisted calls from others to shut down our country all over again. Many nations across Europe have endured further winter lockdowns. Many have seen hospitality curfews and nightclubs closed, capacity limits at sports stadiums, the return of social distancing, and in some places, Christmas and New Year as good as cancelled. But this government took a different path. We kept England open, and we supported those businesses which faced reduced demand because of the response to Plan B measures. And while we must continue to remain cautious, the data are showing that time and again, this government got the toughest decisions right. Today's latest ONS data show clearly that infection levels are falling in England. And while there are some places where cases are likely to continue rising, including in primary schools, our scientists believe it is likely that the Omicron wave has now peaked nationally. There remain, of course, significant pressures on the NHS across our country, and especially in the North East and North West. But hospital admissions, which were doubling every 9 days just 2 weeks ago, have now stabilised, with admissions in London even falling, and the numbers in intensive care not only remain low, but are actually also falling. So,
Okay, I think twins okuba to missing a bit. I'm not sure if the video is still playing. To missing a little bit of what I wanted really for you all to know, our viewers, Okumanya. In a nutshell or summary, UK, Prime Minister Boris Johnson announcing the Tuesday 18th January nagamba UK mandates zili lifted. Mandates ngachi no longer requirement of having a mask in schools, in public transport, in I'm not sure where else, but yes, Yagambie, this is if we see our what you can see on screen now on slide 3, if we could go on slide 3, yagambye nti working from home is no longer a requirement. So organizations or companies, they're putting it together, plan that the work from home is phased out. Masks in schools and also masks in public places from yesterday no longer requirement. So now, yeah, one thing that stood up for me was that civil servants, they were ordered to get back in the office as soon as possible, and that was expected of them to go back on Thursday. Tuesday, of course, there was announcements. 2 days later, when the civil servants or public office workers, they needed to go back in order to show a good example, all of us. Or government, they need to, I suppose, or practicing what they preach, so to say, or so to speak. So according to the latest, let's say the Daily Mail, the Guardian, Bonaba reporting, and other news, the Prime Minister's speech in Parliament on Wednesday, until there will be a change from Plan A to Plan B, meaning mandatory rules for masks and working from home will no longer be mandated. It's no longer, literally, it means no longer illegal. Okuba nti no ffe batugamba nti bajja kuwa penalty oba oli ku bus toyina mask and you're not exempt, then you might get a fine up to, I'm not sure how much it was, but anyway, that was, so police could stop you and ask you for anything, but that's no longer applicable. So in schools, workplace, or public transport, we no longer need to wear masks. We no longer are required to work from home. So organizations need to speed up. So my issue is, ngafe wano UNN to connecting the dots, I suppose. My issue is really, what is the purpose of, I suppose, rushing back, let's say, to the offices? Or one mandatory wearing of mask or whatever mandates. What is the rush? Why are people being asked, like say civil servants, Baba Gambi, they must go back to show a good example? Ne tuwa demo lockdown for like 2 or more, in fact, more than 2 years. More than 2 years. Why is it? Why is that the case? Why is it the case that all of a sudden there's this U-turn from the UK Parliament, UK Prime Minister, or government, now all of a sudden we need to go back to work as if it's business as usual? If obviously, this disease has devastated some lives and has changed the way we look at things, the way the whole world over has changed how we look at things, how we behave, how we meet, people, social interaction, working, people have lost their jobs, people are depressed or, for being indoors all the time because there was lockdowns. And some countries, obviously, they still have lockdown. Naekale in the UK, I can only speak on behalf of, I can only speak on the perspective of the UK because that's where I am. What is it that's all of a sudden changed and woof, we now have to go. We have to go back to the offices, business as usual. Simanyo mu connecting the dots nange. There's something, in my view, fishy. So if we could move on, Jaga Kulaga, one of the statements, one of the, probably they say MPs on slide 5, one of the statements that, some of the ministers were saying, or some of the MPs were saying, I quote from the Daily Mail. It says, "Furious stories have today demanded civil servants get back to work after one advisor complained he saw just 4 staff working in one Whitehall building this week, despite being told by Boris Johnson on the Thursday to return to the office as soon as possible to set an example to the country following the lifting of COVID rules. The vast majority of Mandarins still appear to be opting to work from home. So essentially, abantu abasinga, Tories or MPs are furious. Tories are the Conservatives, which is the party in government at present in the UK. That's what it means, Conservative Party, which is the Tories. That they are furious. Why are civil servants not back in the office? Announcements made Tuesday. People have one day to literally turn and change, wave a magic wand, turn their lives around on Thursday. But no one knew this was going to be announced. No one knew this was happening. After all, we were being told numbers are going up and up and up, just like a week before, or the one before that, of the new variant. So has the new variant all of a sudden, like, just a disappearance, and it's no longer an issue? What's the rush? My thoughts, as much as it's welcome, this U-turn from the UK government, indeed doubtful that it has been done for our good. I don't think it's been done for humanity's good. My worry is what has been done, what has been prepared, what is the plan? Why not a phased return to work? Why in 1 day, 2 days notice? That's it. After people have been at home, sitting at home, or carrying on their lives and juggling work and life balance to ensure that they're carrying on to work, to earn a living, all of a sudden they must drop everything. No plan for, what about childcare, working parents? For about 2 years, maybe some have not had to employ childcare or to take their children in childcare facilities. They've had to work around school runs. What has been done to prepare before the return within 24, 48 hours notice? The idea we must switch off, and by magic switch off, wave a magic wand from what has become normal for the past 2 years, return without any due regard of the impact on people's mental health after such a long time has had on the human mind, the body, our soul. We are not robots. I don't see any sort of feelings from this announcement. Yes, it might be good, hooray, and businesses are happy. But how about individuals, families, working parents? It just shows sort of disregard for our values as humans. That's my take on things. Our values as humans, there's disregard for that. Why can't we have a planned and phased return back to work? And all of a sudden, that's it. Back to the office, because we're working, we're working from home, but you're back to the office, you're back to commuting because you're supposed to be a number. Who does that help? It's helping the big businesses. It's helping someone, maybe those who sell coffee, the morning coffees, and which are disproportionately high, £3, £4. You buy a coffee in a small cup like that. Does this mean we're no longer, we're not safe for I thought the virus was deadly. So does that mean it's no longer deadly? It's no longer infectious? Has there been enough research to suggest the jabs as in vaccines are working? I mean, the Prime Minister rightfully, I mean, he's quoted the ONS, which is the research, which is a government body that does most of the research, which is the Office of National Statistics. What will happen to the unvaccinated? Do we require passports? I mean, passports have been, those are mandates, but they've said, oh, no, we won't be mandating that. But what happens to the unvaccinated? We're being, those who are unvaccinated being pushed for passports, for boosters, for this and that? Or is it another test and try your experiment to check how the population will cope? Are we just numbers, slaves to the system on the production line, So now you can stay at home. Now you can go to work. Now you can go stay at home and work from home. Now you need to go in the office. Like, tulinga obe mbuzi, ente, zebagamba, go here, go there, go here, go there. No, I think we need to think a little bit of, for ourselves. Is it because the Prime Minister has a lawsuit taken against him at the International Criminal Court that, this was filed on the 6th of December, 2021. And this was about the violations on the human rights because of the lockdown, because of mandates, because of this. Is it because, this is a sort of hold on to power for the next upcoming election? There's an election coming in May. Is that because of that? Anyway, my suggestion, whatever my point of views or whatever my thoughts are, but you just all need to connect dots. You need to connect dots. There's nothing that's black and white. There's always gray areas. Nothing is black and white. So make sure you went into connecting dots, and we need to question everything. Whatever no one tells us, oh, this is this, and then you just take everything at face value. You need to connect dots. You need to ask yourself, why is that person doing that? And why have they changed their mind straight away? Or all of a sudden changed their mind, or they were, for over 2 years, we've had mandates. Then all of a sudden, within a day, as of last week, there were mandates. As of last week, there were things like people need to prove, they're vaccinated or they must be vaccinated. And now, within this week, it's about, encourage your, the community, encourage the population to go and get vaccinated or go and get boosters. So my suggestion on what we can do, suggestion here against my personal, is that, think, is that confirmation about how important it is for us to start our own self-sufficient communities? If it's happening like this in the UK, what will happen? What is happening around you, or what will happen in Uganda? Are we being guinea pigs? Are we guinea pigs? Is it possible? We must believe, all I know, it is possible that we must believe that we can have self-sufficient communities. We can start small. We can till the land. We must take our minds back, think of ourselves, and stop being consumers, blind followers, slaves to the things. Do you know when you have a lot of things, you end up being enslaved by those things because you can't let them go? Or I've spent so much money on these things, so I must stay where I am because I'm keeping my things. So you can't just up and leave. Kubanga, there's so many things you've accumulated over the years. And that's in itself a form of enslavement. All this going to work, I must work, have a job, I must have a job, I must have a job. What is the reason for you going to work? What is the reason for work? I think we need to reevaluate, why are we going to work in the first place? I love that someone needs to earn a living and earn it in the right way. earn it truthfully. But my thing is, let's not just go to work for the sake of going to work because someone else is going to work, because you need to buy another car, you need to buy another TV, you need to buy another, let's go to work with a purpose. Go to work with a purpose. I have this sort of amount, my vision is this, and I need this much. And by this date, I need to go once I get that, the amount that I've got or I've received. But work is not just about being employed. It's not about being employed. Being in suits and ties. So if you're in suits and ties, but you're unhappy, what is it? What use is it? If you're in suits and ties to pay off an overdraft, you're always in an overdraft, or you have credit cards, or you're paying off higher purchase cars, or you're paying off things that you've borrowed, what is the use? Anyway, the UK perspective, is it, for me, I'm questioning, is it something to do with, it's sort of a buy-in, like, sweets, or sweet, to try and buy them agreeing to have a shower, or them agreeing to do a chore, that if you clean up, I will give you this. If you do this, I'll give you this. It's the coercion. It's almost like, last week, it was like mandate, vaccines mandate, this and that. And then all of a sudden, a huge U-turn. Kakati tuliku, we're being bought with sweets. What to, maybe a vote, maybe because it's the way, sort of these governments work. They will give you and take away and give you and seem like they're actually you're being given, well done, you've been given. But then before you know it, it creeps up on you that it was never what you thought it was. Ngabo tulabe Uganda anyway, when you have, Baba, MPs, Baba Wesente, Baba Wachi, but underneath, the constitution is being changed. I think it's time that, we relieve ourselves from all these things that hold us back. We let go. My thoughts, if we go on to the next slide, my thoughts are around, I think, are around this whole thing. I was watching something yesterday, a webinar. These two ladies, they do a lot of research, very good. And the European, I won't say exactly, but if anybody needs any information, I can share it. But these two ladies, they suggest that this whole thing is around sort of behavioral experiment. Is that hope and despair to create chaos. Bagamanti, the reason why, the UK is going the way it's going, and Australia as well apparently changed the way they do the mandates, that is about behavioral experiment. There's this theory, Egamanti, Ngabo Bakola, let's say in World War II, in the 1930s, when World War II, with Hitler, where there was that behavioral experiment where, over propaganda behavioral experiment, whereby you create hope. Ngabo Twalaba, in fact, Uganda, remember, in campaigns, you see that there's this hope someone has created, there's hope, there's a big following for, Mr. Chagulanyi, then there's a lot chaos, and you're seeing that you can see actually we have victory. But then all of a sudden, chaos on the day of elections, chaos created, whereby you see ballot gund papers really fixed, and and in fact we can touch on this in the next show. 10 phases of dictatorial governments, ngabwe were give and take. It's that hope and despair to create chaos. And I agree with most of that. Sort of history repeats itself. There was Banawachalanga comparing a previous history situation or historical situations that changed the world forever. So if we could go to the next slide, please. Yeah, I've talked about that, and my thinking is really it. And I think if we could go to a quick break to lave these two videos, and maybe food for thought. Question everything. Really do question everything. Things are not what they seem to be. No, it's the yes, those two videos. Have a look and let's have some comments, discussions. Please do put your comments in the sections. I should be able to have a look and see your comments and what you have to say about what's going on. Okay.
Then you wouldn't. If Black Lives Matter, then you wouldn't have to walk around with signs saying Black Lives Matter. So the fact that you have a sign saying that Black Lives Matter tells me that Black lives don't matter. If Black Lives Matter, then you wouldn't have to walk around with signs saying Black Lives Matter. So the fact that you have a sign saying that Black Lives Matter tells me that Black lives don't matter.
Okay, what video ya feriendala? Worthy or not? I'm not sure if we're able to play that. Yeah.
Here's some news that you guys should actually know about, because we know the media won't ever cover this. This is John Magufuli, former president of Tanzania, died March 17th, 2021. This is Hamed Bakayoko, former prime minister of the Ivory Coast, dead March 10th, 2021. This is Jovenel Moise, former president of Haiti, died July 7th, 2021. This is Pierre Amadou Kali, the former prime minister of Ivory Coast, died June 6, 2020. This is Ambrose Dlamini, former president of Eswatini, died December 13th, 2020. This is Andry Rajoelina, president of Madagascar, and he just survived an assassination attempt. Can you guess what they all had in common, except for all dying within a year of each other? They all denied the vaccines in their country. I'm sure it's just a coincidence.
So just a coincidence, huh? Anyway, just connect your dots. Don't take things at face value. Really think about why, governments are doing what they're doing. There's this one quote that says, even if you don't see the war against humanity, or in our case, Ugandans, it does not mean it does not exist. It doesn't mean it does not exist. So you can bury your head in the sand all you want. You can say, I am fine. You sit in your picket fenced mansion and think that whatever is going on around you, it has nothing to do with you. And guess what? Many things that have happened, atrocities, for instance, things like the genocides, things like, like apartheid, things like, the world wars that have gone on. Batandika mpola mpola nga, batandika ogamba nti no, okay, no, kakati this side only whites, this side's only black. Oh no, kati Jews need to wear something to show that they're Jews, and no, they need to go through this camp and that camp. And what happened? So compare and see what is going on right now. Chigamba, no, the unvaccinated, the vaccinated. Abali vaccinated, you need to show your passport, your vaccine passport. Abatali vaccinated, show us your, you need to show proof. Abatali temutula mu restaurant, abali mutule mu restaurant. What is so different from what we know now, or what we have, about what's going on now, and what was there before? History repeating itself. Maybe they might not necessarily want us to compare, just because Fetwina more, better roads, or maybe different buildings, you live in maybe, much lovelier homes, mugula bintu mu supermarkets instead of tilling the land, techitegeza until what has happened before might not happen again. But I see it creeping on us. It's creeping up on us. So I just want you all just really, do your research, connect dots. When someone says something, you need to think about it. You don't take things at face value. If we could go to the next slide, please. Ngawemba Gambi, the 10 phases, which I'll talk about next time, which will really, I think, paint a really big picture on comparing, let's say, Uganda, where we are, and what happened before. Divide and conquer, divide and rule, slavery, you had the Holocaust, Ngawemba Gambi, the world wars, the Rwanda genocide. Many genocides have happened before, they have. So let's say, we look at curfew. How is curfew? What was the curfew before? The police violence, what was happening before? In the case of Uganda, for instance, I know Twaina curfew, I was a child, and I really understood what was going on during the, I believe it was Obote to Museveni's regime. And curfew, ngamino kuba eka by certain times, sirens are going off, you're hiding, gunshots are going off, you hide underneath beds, cupboards, and the war itself, but it all crept up slowly. Before you know it, like we were in full-blown war. And look at the economic, changes, what's happening in Uganda. I mean, the price of things going up. And when we think about the colonialists taking over from before the colonial period, how did they come friendly and nice and saying, we're here to help you, come, let's give you some loans, come, let's, we'll be okay. Before you know it, they're taking over our airport. That's, I suppose, a much bigger topic, and I think many of my colleagues have talked about it over quite a lot in detail. Wanok UNN. Think about it, and don't take things at face value. If we move on, please. So as we get into our topic for today, topic here about self-belief. Mbadde njagala kubawa a little bit of synopsis ku the issues around pandemic, how you can relate them to what has happened before, history, what history has told us before, and maybe, there's some things that we're missing and we're not really paying attention. Unvaccinated, vaccinated, sit on one side of the bus, only blacks, only whites, only what, just because now it chitkwatako fenna all over the world. It's no longer about, sort of, I suppose it's no longer about color of your skin, the segregation. It's more about the vaccinated and unvaccinated. And also it's probably going to be more around the social classes. My thinking is around maybe social classes, because the elites but to the mansions away, and they have everything brought to them, or they have everything, they can move around, they can go into private jets and fly into another country, whereas we cannot. The normal working class or middle class man is still taking the, going the plane with the majority of us, with the public. Whereas that's not the same for the elites. The elites have their private jets. So this situation, this pandemic is around, I think, social classes, and it doesn't discriminate. So if you hear something, if you have something to share, inbox me. The email is right there, sophia@getunn.com. You can use hello@getunn.com. The general UNN team. You can use Messenger, I suppose, Facebook, but it's much safer and easier, I think. If you want anonymity, you could just email, or you could just excuse me. Yeah, you could just send an email or a messenger, whatever you prefer. Nenga tugenda ku topic yaffe ya today. Topic yaffe ya today, I really want to talk to you about self-belief. Self-belief, what is it? Producer, if we could just go back to the previous slide. What is self-belief? Self-belief or self-efficacy is a person's belief in their ability to complete tasks and to achieve their goals. That's from Bandura. Bandura is a theoretical thinker. I suppose it was more around psychological perspective. So you can do your research and find out, read a little bit more about self-belief, self-efficacy, or self-actualization, self-confidence, self-esteem. Okay, if we move on, please. So what is self-belief? That is what it is. It's around believing that you can do something. Self-belief, it's around self-confidence, but not arrogance. It's definitely not arrogance. You can have self-confidence. You can be able to say no, and no is a full sentence. No, you don't need to explain why you're doing the thing that you're doing. No is a full sentence. So from now on, get to understand it. No is a full sentence. You shouldn't be able to explain yourself to anyone, anybody, unless, of course, out of respect, your elders, like your mother, father, but you can also no to them respectfully. So it's the willingness to grow. Self-belief is about the willingness to grow and adapt. Of course, self-belief is not about having, it's not having ideas where you're not able to work on yourself, like you think you can never learn anything, no one can teach you anything, no one, all you have is enough, you have enough knowledge, and that's it. Tibuhabura. So that's not necessarily self-belief. That is a little bit of arrogance and a little bit of there's this syndrome, what do you call it? It's a little bit of thinking that, you can't give me anything. Look at the examples where, we have the presidential address and you're being told, I'm not working for you, not for you, I'm only working for my children's children, whatever. So willingness to grow and adapt, that's self-belief. You're able to identify what your weaknesses are and what your strengths are, to work on the weaker areas. You work on the weaker areas of yourself. So if we can move on, please. So why is it important? Why is self-belief important? Okay, the importance, evidence suggests judging yourself to be capable of success increases your chances to actual success. So when you judge yourself, when you have self-belief is about judging yourself, your weaknesses and your strength. So once you have identified what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, then you're able to go and succeed. You're able to succeed. You're able to increase your chances of actual success. So of course, it's not judging yourself as not capable of success. It reduces the chance of success. So for instance, we're too judging ourselves that we're not capable of changing our country, changing governance, changing, in this revolution. If we don't believe in ourselves, if we don't have that self-belief, then we have little chance. We minimize our chances of succeeding. Every time that you doubt, every time you doubt yourself, every time you think, I cannot do it, you will not be able to do it. I'll give you an example. There's a friend of mine that sent me a message via Messenger and said, look, I am really pressed. I'm worried. There was something about, something happened about technical issue. They were giving in their work, but they were not able to hand in their work because the computer died, or they didn't have internet. So it took a while for them to be able to to contact their tutor or teacher to say, I've not been able to hand in my work online. And they're quite worried. I say, just believe, just have faith. And that's all they had. They had the self-belief, it will be okay. And guess what? The next day he contacted me again to say, look, actually, I have been able to contact this teacher, and they're okay with me handing in my work at another time. Do you see what I mean? It's like those day-to-day examples, those day-to-day things that help us. You need to believe in yourself. You need to believe, to trust your instincts, intuition. No longer about, or you have to believe someone else, or Joanna, you have to believe Sophia, what Sophia says goes. No, it's not about what I'm saying. If what I'm saying is wrong, yeah, you can still say, no, I doubt what Sophia is saying, and I'm going to go and find out by myself. So you have the self-belief to understand that when Sophia says something that you're not sure about, you doubt, you believe in yourself and go and research, and if that confirms your belief, then that's a really good thing, isn't it? I think that's a really good thing. There's this saying that goes, which I've learned something new this week, or in the past couple of weeks. I've learned something new about this saying that I'm not sure about, whether our viewers have heard of overstand. Some Americans, or I've had a lot of Americans using overstand instead of understand. And I didn't know that before. Like, overstand, what does overstand, mean? And this is something that they have learned from Bob Marley in his lyrics. Apparently, in his lyrics and choice of words, Bob Marley will sometimes say overstand instead of understand. The meanings are subtly different. Overstand implies I am more than basic. I have more than a basic understanding of. Whereas understand, I have sort of below understanding. Maybe we need to start changing our wording, our language. How do we use our language that does not help us to have self-belief in ourselves? When you look at Ebigen's around social media, what, someone to make themselves feel better or put down the other? Do you need to put down another person to feel better about yourself, or to believe that you are better than them? I don't think so, but hey, that's that's their self-belief, that if they keep infantilizing or keep putting down someone else, it makes them feel better, it makes them feel good. What is it that in our culture has made us to feel that we're not good enough? In your upbringing, in your childhood experiences. Okay, if we move on, please, to our next slide. Okay, if we could, I just want you to listen to this video again. It's thanks to Fearless Motivation. It's a video that maybe it can motivate you to believe in yourself, not give up, don't follow the crowd, believe, have intuition. Wow. I hope, Ntino, that video inspires you like it inspires me. What I am trying to say is that we must change our mindset. We must change our, self-belief. The reason why I have a firm belief, the reason why we're in the mess that we're in as a society, as a community, as a country in Uganda is because we don't have self-belief. We don't have enough belief in ourselves. Ogamba, we can change the way we're governed. We can change many things that are not going okay for us. Honestly, I really believe that this, self-belief is sort of the key to changing everything else. Even our leaders, they might maybe come around and, showing they have a lot of self-belief, but their actions show different. It's not about self-belief. So how has self-belief been influenced the way you live, culture, looking at our culture? But elderly, tubawa nnyo kwegamba ekitiibwa ne tukiyisaawo. What is the family values that you were exposed to mu childhood or in your adult age or in school? Ekugamba your family saying you're not good enough, fetuli this way, fetuli that way. They've put you in a box. What are those values that have put you in a box? Are they relevant to you? There's actually a difference between the values and morals. There are those things that are in law, like natural law, neither things that family has taken on, your parents have taken on some things that have hindered your progress. There's extended family, or there's the community, your neighbor, gender roles. It's women, you should be in the kitchen and men should be this. All those things have impacted, have had an impact. They've had an impact on me and how I have sort of progressed through the UK environment. Growing up in Africa, Uganda, it has had a significant impact on how I have, I've been able to progress. Maybe some things have been a little bit behind and I've had to work double as hard. But the question here is faith and belief. The tribal values, childhood experiences are bringing the parenting way of life of your local, national, international communities. What are those things? Are they telling you that actually you're black or you're darker? No, you're dark skinned, so you're not beautiful. Who measured? Who's measuring what? Who's measuring what? Why are you being told by someone else who was created by God the same way as they were created by you? Or kugamba, you're dark skinned, so you must bleach yourself. And lighter is beautiful. ebyo byonna mbyogera not because yes manyi tulina revolution naye revolutionizing your mindset, it helps you to get the confidence to stand up and say I am actually going to stand for the truth. I'm not going to follow the crowd kubanga boba, there are many. I will stand alone, but I'll stand in the truth. The environmental factors, education system, the formal education. For instance, oyinza okuba oli eyo ogamba nti, you know what, bambi fete tusobola kujja ku UNN oba fete sisobola kujja kukola live. Sisobola kujja kukola live kubanga I am not good enough. You're comparing yourself to somebody else. You're comparing yourself to maybe me or to maybe, Mulangira Chimbwe, Mulangira Page, Sarah Nubs, Mrs. Wamala. Don't compare yourself. You are enough. So wechiba chitwetagisa tulina okujja ku social media abantu abiri, just so we can hone down the message of change, then so be it. Then that's what we need to do. That's what we need to do. And I challenge you to work on your self-belief, work on your mindset. Those things that are limiting you because of culture, because of gender biases, because of color biases, because of economic biases. Kyentegeeza nti kubanga omuntu abeera mu nnyumba efaanana etya nnene bw'eti ali picket fence ali better than you. That is not the way. Over how do we see like finances? Money doesn't grow on trees. So someone tells you, to be kind of an environment of scarcity all the time, to playing a victim. We are the victims. We need to come away from this victimhood. We're victims kubanga ba we're victims kubanga sina sente. We're victims. Why are we thinking about the paper money, man-made? Why are we thinking about God, we believe in God, and to fit single believing in God, Christians, all sorts of religions in Uganda, but at the same time, we have the least in my view, my observations, our self-esteem is so low. So we need to really go by the books we're reading, this religion that we attach ourselves to so much. To get to church every day, to soma Bible every day, to soma Quran, to get music. If you saying that you're not good enough, you have this thing chikusika all the time. You're always in competition, comparing yourself, living in scarcity. The law of attraction says, what you wish for is what you become. Oja attracting era scarcity. Era oja kubanga toyina. Bonagama nti nze bannange era nze mundabe bambi. No, era that's what will happen to you. What you believe in will become, you will become. Kyekino kye tugamba bannange ffe tufa mujje batuyambe, bannange America muliwa, bannange UK muliwa. No. That's exactly what's happening. Banangera ffe tulina tubeera mu loan all the time. Why are we borrowing all the time? Kubanga ekifaananyi abo borrowing all the time, bo bali living in a very, very different life on another planet, different reality. Borrowing on the country Uganda. Naye ng'ate, we have all the natural resources in our land. We're standing on it every day. Body image ogamanga bwembagambi, the classes of body image, goli, you're fat, and Ugandans, you like so cruel sometimes. Society yafuyinza okuddayo munagamba munne ekigambo nagamba banaye ng'oli munene nnyo bango. Why do you have to comment? Naye gundi oli bwoti. Why do you judgment? Keep your opinions to yourself. Tetuli mu competition. Everyone needs to mind their own goddamn business. That is my opinion, and I'm standing by it. That is my truth, because I do not believe anyone is better than. It's me and us, or we and them. No, you are not better than anybody else. You are you, and God created you in his image. You're good enough, and you are enough, and you do what you need to do. Follow you. So until we change this mindset of thinking them and us and we, you're beautiful, you're more beautiful, you're this, 12 maganya bigambo, social media, we're going back and forth. Let's focus on me as a person to revolutionize my mindset, become what I need to become in my mindset, that any challenge, whatever comes, that I'm ready to fight for my country. But elders nti kubanga oli elder ya bwaba ayogedde ekintu kibi ayogedde ekintu tetumugamba ko no, it's not about tumugamba no, we need to start saying no is no is a full sentence, it doesn't need an explanation. Naye do it respectfully. Entitlement yogamba positions, when you're in positions of power, that status that we're the elites, we're this. What is limiting our self-belief? The limiting beliefs are stopping us from progressing. The self-belief, not having self-belief, is stopping us from progressing to where we want to be as a people. Anyway, things you can do moving forward: we can pray, meditate to be spiritually aware, attuned. Forgiveness, forgive each other. Forgive one another. Do not ask for permission to be yourself, like I was saying before. Yeah, if we move on. Challenge the status quo. What do I mean by that? Let's say, for instance, this education system, the formal education which was brought to us by another, the West, is that education system serving us? After all, abana babera out of school for over 2 years. Naye kati olaba abazadde mudduka you're borrowing to pay someone else. That is someone else's profits. If you don't have the money, maybe find different ways of educating your child. It doesn't have to be the formal education. Kasamanya okubala maths, maybe ne language muyamba to go about their business every day. Maybe we need to do those drastic, radical decisions, to change this status quo, to change business as usual, because it's not business as usual anymore. Know your rights and responsibilities. What are your natural laws? What are your legal laws or government laws, man-made laws? When you know yourself, Nomanya, truly believe in yourself, I have these natural laws, God-given laws, then I'm able to challenge the status quo as well. Defend yourself if you must. Temuda okaba lamenting banange mutiyambe banaye mutiyambe, and they're taking your child, they're taking you, no. I'm not judging anybody. I don't have a right to judge. Nenze chengamba, consider things we can do. We as a people, we need to be a bit more challenging of the status quo, knowing our rights and responsibilities a little bit more than what we know now. Defend ourselves if we must. Curfew, why is curfew? When chikuwedi wali ekola, and so, so COVID-19 yearly between 7 o'clock and this time. All those things are being done to stretch you, okulaganti, how far you can go, how far they can stretch you, how far they can manipulate you. And when it comes next time, bajaku introducing you something else. Remember that gradual, incremental, step by step, happening in World War II. When these little different things are being introduced. First, there was this emergency act, creating German, and Hitler's one of the, the commanders said, no, I don't know what. Anyway, he held a big, government position. A guy, let's create this emergency act. After emergency act, one at a time. And this is exactly what these governments have done. This is exactly what happens, what's going on in Uganda. Anyway, we move on, but consider those things. So we need to only accept only the best for ourselves. Tokkiriza anything less of yourself. No one has the right to tell you you are less than. Value and love yourself. You can only love yourself first before someone else loves you. Don't think that love is coming from outside. It's within. Stand in your truth. Do not fall proud. To following a crowd just for the sake, just because everyone is following the crowd, kati crowd wetutwala mu trap, which is most cases. Sometimes we have been put in traps kubanga to following the crowd. Anyway, let's move on because I want to finish soon. I'm hoping in the next 10 minutes we conclude this, and then you guys can have a really lovely weekend. We can, preach what you practice. I'm saying that intentionally. I'm being purposeful and intentional. Ngambi, preach what you practice. I haven't said practice what you preach. I said preach what you practice. Whatever you're doing in the dark or whatever, you need to first of all practice. Be that person that you're preaching. Live your life. Or your koyogera ebintu byo, ebintu byogerako buli kaseera. Now you need to live it. You need to be living that you're preaching. Step outside of your comfort zone. Don't hang around the same circles. Don't go on the same social media platforms. You're going to have the same, find different resources. Don't so much about chimu January to December and think that you have a different view of what's going on. Avoid looking back in the past, living in the past. One of the main things, a bit to Ghana, to have the self-belief. You look at the past, no gamba, oh my goodness, look at my past, how it was. You stay there instead of saying, no, my past was the past and I'm going to move on. I wish, if you haven't seen episode 4, yes, that was episode 4 of this series, our mindset on the revolutionary spa. Episode 4, I'm talking about how my mind saved me, and that's me letting go of my past. What I'm saying here, I have lived it. These are things that I do in my day-to-day life. These are things that I actually literally practice. What I'm preaching here, I practice. It took me a while to think about how do I come and share my experiences or about sharing of my knowledge. I know sometimes we think of bigger things, tugamba twenunula, tugamba revolution. Now, what does it all mean, revolution? Does it mean you need to revolutionize yourself? Because you are what is going to make the government. You are what's going to make the community. You are what's going to make the party or UFCC as an ideological, system which proposes an idea of governance, which is the federal idea. Okay, we move on. And I just want to leave this. Someone shared this. Thank you, Georgia Barbara. Shared this, and it says, if your mindset is right, what you need is, if your mindset is right, what you need to achieve will be achieved with great ease. Ojja kuba tokayana n'abantu, ojja kuba togenda back and forth, ojja kuba towulira ng'oli confused, oli mu chaos. You will know that you have a vision. My vision is, yes, okay, I'm going to be with UNN is the vision. I know this is going to work. I put my effort in it, but do not expect that everyone else will be behind you. Do not expect Ntino Jakuba, rewarded for choosing what you've chosen. That's all I'm saying, is that you choose on your own accord because you have the self-belief, the belief, the vision in the thing that you've chosen. Don't say ate oli yangamba on joining it when tumanyi blaming everyone else but ourselves. To me, that's what I have observed. As a people, what we do, we normally do to each other. As a society, don't you have your own brain? Don't you have your own belief system? What are your values? Why don't you think for yourself? And if you cannot, because culture, tewali agana, and I can understand because I wasn't like this. 20, 30 years ago, I wasn't like this because I grew up in the same environment of Uganda, which is about elders. They tell you something wrong, you accept and you go with it. But you can actually respectfully say, no, I'm not going to do that. There's so many, in my own life, I've had to say no to elders respectfully, but I've had to stand my ground in my truth and say, no, actually, I'm not going to do that. And that's okay. And you know what? It was okay. You or someone else has told you you're not good enough, you don't feel knowledgeable because you don't have a formal education, life, or you have an accent, so you won't come on air to speak, or you feel like, personally, when I have an accent here, I do have an accent when I'm in the UK speaking, among maybe my British counterparts, I have an accent. So what? I have an accent. I know what I know, and that is my truth. You know what you know because it's your truth. You don't have to have a formal education to stand up and say, this is my truth. I know what I know because you have taught yourself, or you've learned something from your elders or from your environment. And that is okay. That is enough. How do you measure your success? Why are you looking at someone else's success to measure how good you are? You don't have to. Imagine if you're contented, happy with Ngoli Mukasisira somewhere on a farm, and you're actually contented and happy, and there's so many people out there, and so many people in the West are trying to actually let go of the material things and go back to till the land. That's what I would love as well, if only our Uganda was okay. But I would love that, just to completely get rid of these material things that hold us back, bondage, to remove bondage. Value, how do you measure your success? Things of value, what are things of value to you, your family? First ask yourself or them, who measures what is good or bad? Who made the scaling to kationo ya mani what is good or bad? What is the micro, you, your friends, your family, what is it saying to you? What is the wider society saying to you? What is culture saying to you? That you're not good enough, so you lose your self-belief. We're not in a competition. If you're competing with someone, just know that that is it. You're never going to have to make a decision for yourself that makes you content and happy. This is actually psychologically, or it's a scientifically, has been evidence that competition, a lot of philosophical, psychological, thoughts or minds that are out there who have done lots of research and evidence, competition is not in the success. And by the way, what is success? You need to define, first of all, what is success for you? What is success for us as UNN? What is success for, Uganda? What is that you measure yourself against to determine others are better than or less than you? You're playing victim all the time. I won't repeat some of the things, but just know that if others who gave them, If others are measuring success against you, who gave them the right? If we are made in God's image, because God says you are enough. If you have faith in me, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Whose moral standards are you measuring yourself with? Everyone sins, but what is sin? After all, Jesus said that he only came to save those in need, the sinners, not the righteous. Anyway, food for thought, another food for thought. Things are not black and white. There's gray areas. Things are not them and us. Things are not better versus worse or good, yes or worse. Things are not them, are not about good or bad. Things are not about rich or poor. And who measures who is rich and who's poor? Even when you may think that society has told us we think because we have a lot of money in the account, or we have, just know that some in the future we might not be able to have the cash, the money in their account. So people who have land are probably going to be much more richer than someone who has billions in their account. And by the way, maybe actually thinking about it, maybe this is why there's a lot of land wrangles. So please hold on tight to your land. Anyone that has their land, hold on tight. Make sure you do something about it. On your land, make sure you do something on the land. Are you raising some cattle, some goats, some chickens? Do something. Are you growing some food? And lastly, as I conclude my message to each and everyone, is that angels are among us. Let us be the angels among us. Be kind, role models. Be cautious about what you say, mindful of what and how you say to others, what we say. We're judging others through judgment, being jealous, being mean, hurtful, to make ourselves greater than the other or feel better about ourselves. Remember, words are powerful. We create with our words. Mr. Mulangla Page did say, repeated, some of the things I've been saying. Words, words create, or words are powerful. First you think, you say it, and it becomes true. It becomes real. They can make or break you, meaning we create what we become. Being greater than the other is only a figment of your imagination. Your world is your reality, not everyone else's. No human being is greater than another human being. As the unreal world we live in, this is an unreal world we live in. It's not the world that is real, because everything is superficial. It is not what we live in, like most of us would like to believe. If you have self-belief, self-awareness of who you are, how great you are, you do not need anyone else to tell you how great you are. You are made in God's image. If that's true and you believe it, be it Christian, be it Muslim, be it Buddhist, or whatever your doctrine or belief system is, you will know how your inner verse, as in universe, inner verse is much more important than the universe or outer verse. So I really encourage you to please look within you, forgive yourself and others. Thank you. I think we've come to the conclusion of our show. I thank you so much. Thanks to the producer for being on here to help, to give us this wonderful, wonderful show and slides and technicalities. Viewers, thank you for listening. Abali ku YouTube, abali ku Facebook, abali ku Twitter, all those wherever you are today, and those who may watch this program later. I appreciate you and your time. UNN appreciates you and your time. Share this message with someone you believe may be feeling unimportant or has low self-esteem, depressed, lacks confidence, and not sure about their self-purposeful action to benefit towards their growth, our progress. This is a show that can help us build one another, not tear one another down. Build our self-confidence, esteem, value you, first of all, the person, so you may take progressive action. Thank you, and I appreciate you all. Remember, this show is about healing, revolutionizing our mindset, changing you, changing us, changing Uganda, the world around you. Ubuntu. May the Almighty God keep you safe in good health, prosperity, and help you attuned to your higher power, your inner us, so that you can truly believe in yourself to change the things that need changing. I love you all. Peace.